This is independent.ie. We're in Valhalla for the 106th PGA Championship, and I'm delighted to be joined by a man who played in 8 of them. Paul McGinley, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Paul.
Paul, your very first PGA Championship and your second major was actually here in 2000.
Yeah, I remember it.
What do you remember?
The excitement of playing in major championships. It took me a while to get there, you know. I mean, I turned pro in 1991, so it was 10 years nearly before I made my first PGA debut. So, you know, I've always been a slow burner. It took me a while. The excitement of it, the excitement of playing in a major, the excitement of a major setup, and being with the big boys.
What did you make of Valhalla at the time?
Very, very difficult, incredibly difficult. We don't play courses like this set up on the PGA Tour. I mean, the 4 majors are 4 different tests, 4 different exams. You know, you've obviously got the links exam of the Open Championship. You've got the US Open, which is heavy, rough and tight fairways, very difficult setup where par is level par is going to win or come close to it. Then you've got the Masters, obviously we all know about the Masters and what that brings. But then I always felt the PGA Championship was kind of a PGA Tour setup and a little bit more difficult, but not a lot. But so it was part of a family that I hadn't practiced or played in. So it's a whole new world coming over, and I think you have to be playing on the PGA Tour a lot before you feel comfortable on this style of setup.
Right. So we had a memorable winner that year in 2000. That was Tiger.
A great finish. I mean, but Bobby May went right to the wire with him. I mean, I've known Bobby. We played World Cup against each other, and you know, Bobby was, you know, I hate using the word journeyman, but he was a steady player on the tour, and he wasn't.
I hate that word myself. I really do.
And he wasn't.
How can you do that? How can you be here?
I know, absolutely.
As a journeyman, it's insulting. It shouldn't apply.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. But to be at that very level, and you know, not having won a tournament on the PGA Tour, but being consistently good and kind of making his way slowly. So he's gone from a comfort zone of being 40, 50, 60 in the money list to going toe-to-toe with the hottest guy in the game, maybe the greatest guy ever, toe-to-toe, down the stretch on a very, very difficult finish here with water all over the place and very difficult golf course, toe-to-toe with Tiger. Yeah. And he more than held his own, went right to the wire with him. Tiger had to pull out every stop he could just to beat him. It was an unbelievable performance from Bob. And you know, if that had been Phil Mickelson at the time or Ernie Els, they would have said, oh, that's the greatest golf tournament of all time. Well, but because it was Bobby, it kind of got diminished a bit.
Let me stop you there and remind you that your best finish in a major was actually a PGA Championship. Yeah. It was in Whistling Straits, and you tied 6 with Phil Mickelson.
Did I? Yeah. I was 2 shots off the playoff, that's what I remember. But what I remember about that was I was on a push to make that 2004 Ryder Cup team. And that was like my 10th tournament in a row. And I had found a bit of form, but I wasn't in the team, and I couldn't rely on the pick. Langer was the captain, and you know, he kept telling me I had to push, I had to make the team. And I remember going in there with Ryder Cup on my mind and trying to make that Ryder Cup team. And obviously, you know, I made a huge check there, and that kind of didn't quite get me on the team, but it got me on the edge of the team. And then I went to the last counting event in Munich. I went head to head with Freddie Jacobsen, who was in the team, and I was the first man out. And
I remember it.
And I knocked him out. I finished 5th or 6th that week as well to knock him out, and then he didn't get a pick.
Now, the last time we were here, which was 2014, the Ryder Cup was also on your mind. That's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You were Ryder Cup captain. You were due to play, and you withdrew.
Yeah. I mean, my game wasn't where it needed to be a test on this as difficult as this. But my head was all over the place. You know, I'm right into Ryder Cup stuff. My head is not about hitting golf shots and where my swing is and how I'm chipping and putting. And I knew that I was just going to make up the numbers, and I wanted to focus on what was important. And I remember a lot of my meetings with the players that week were done down in the cart barn underneath the clubhouse, away from prying eyes. Didn't want anybody to know what was going on. So when I got a player, when he finished, quietly I picked my moment and said, well, let's have a chat. And we went down into the cart barn and sat on a cart and had a chat that way. I remember doing it with Jamie Donaldson, who was disappointing with his finish on Sunday, and he wasn't in the team. And there was 2 accounting events left, and he was going to take one of them off. And I said, Jamie, you can't take it off. You can't rely on a pick here. I got some big guys that I want to pick. You're a rookie. Don't put me in a tough spot. You make the team. You're playing well enough. I know you had a bad finish today, but you've got to go to Czechoslovakia. You've got to push away. He says, all right, let me think about it. 24 hours later, he called me back and says, okay, I'll play check. And he goes to check and he wins.
Right.
And then he ends up, holding the winning, hitting the winning shot and winning that point. So it's funny how things twist and turn.
I presume the players you brought downstairs under the car park didn't include Rory.
No. I had a bit of sparring with Rory early in the campaign.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I kind of know how Rory works. We all know how he works. He's an inspirational player, and when you put it up to him, he's often better. When he's promoted a lot and told how great he is, I don't know if that does him any favours. I think he likes to prove people wrong. When he's a centre of attention and, there's criticism of him coming on or whatever, I think often that's when he's at his best. I had that kind of feeling about him, and I remember when the qualification was starting, I said to him, now Rory, I need you to make this team. Don't make me waste a pick on you. And boy, oh boy, did he make me regret that. He went down to Australia and won a couple of months later. And I sent him a text to congratulate him, and he said, "You won't have to waste a pick on me now."
That seems ridiculous, really, given what happened. After that, the season that he had.
Yeah, but he wasn't coming in a lot of form.
Yeah.
Rory's career is like this.
Yeah.
It always is like this.
Yeah.
And when he's playing badly, everybody writes him off, and he's done, and he's this, and his wedge play's terrible, his putting's terrible,
Yeah.
the mistakes he's making, what's he doing? And then all of a sudden you get a performance like he did last week, and he blows everybody away.
Right.
But that's what he is. That's normal for him. It's not Scotty Scheffler this way. Rory is this way and this way. And you've got to stay with him in the lulls, and and just wait for the tide to turn, and it does turn.
Right.
And there's always something that ignites it though. Every single time it happens, there's a reason for ignition. It could be working with Brad Faxon. It could be working with Bob Rotella. It could be something he's found in his golf swing. It could be something that happened with the PIF and the board and all that stuff. Or in this instance, I think it was Shane Lowry.
Right.
I think Shane inspired him. I think playing with Shane.
This is a couple of weeks ago.
In Zurich, I do, yeah. And I think he really enjoyed it. And, and he got the pointy elbows out, and all of a sudden, then that rush of belief and confidence comes back, and then it's no coincidence that he wins the week after.
Okay, so it's 10 years ago since he won here. There were a number of headlines that week. One of them was McGinley backs Rory to rule the world. That was 10 years ago. And he has ruled the world, but not in the way we expected. I mean, no one would have believed it would take 10 years for him. He would go 10 years without another major.
Yeah.
And here we are again,
Yeah.
and you would have to say everybody really fancies his chances this week.
Yeah, but we've said that a lot in the last 10 years, haven't we?
Everybody but McGinley fancies his chances this week.
I'm not. As I say, I'm not going to tell him how great he is, and I think
How about insulting him?
Reversal, yeah,
You
maybe
little-
insulting him.
Do a Shane on him, you little fucker.
Probably our chances are better at doing that, but I think I wasn't the only one said that on the back of 14. He'd won 4 majors at that stage. Nicholas had come out and said he was going to win 15 majors, and everybody was talking about he was was a threat to win as many as Tiger had won, and all that stuff was going on. But I think we talked about this on the Golf Channel last night. If you look at Rory's win ratio in the last 10 years, or in his whole career, it's always a good gauge, because a guy's only coming on tour, win ratio, you can gauge it amount, relevant to the number of tournaments he's played.
Yeah.
But when a guy is on tour for a long, long time, that win ratio normally comes down because you're playing so many tournaments.
Yeah.
So a win ratio for a guy who's just on tour, like a Scotty Scheffler, and who's had an unbelievable start to his career, is normally quite a high.
Right.
And he's had a phenomenal career since Scotty Scheffler. Yet his win ratio for a short period of time is 8%.
Right.
Rory McIlroy's, for 5 times the length of time that Scotty's been on tour,
Right.
certainly 4 times, is 10%. There's nobody in the modern era, including Phil Mickelson, including Ernie Els, including David Duval, who have come close to Tiger in terms of win ratio. And Rory's, the closest at 10. So he's been phenomenally, he has excelled, phenomenally successful in PGA Tour events and DP World Tour events, and all the big titles, the Australian Open, Irish Open, BMW, DP World Tournament, Quail Hollow, FedEx Champion, BMW, wherever you want to go, he's won all of those events. Obviously, the big thing is what has he done in majors, and he hasn't won majors. And the difficulty with that is it builds. And I can speak from this from experience myself. When I was on the tour, you know, I really wanted to win a big event on the European tour, and I really felt I could achieve it. And I came close, and I screwed up a couple of times. Came second in the PGA twice. You know, one of them I finished poorly. One of them, Cabrera just went away and played unbelievable to beat me. Then I got to the final of the World Match Play. I was playing phenomenally well. Michael Campbell, I was down the whole game. I got him back to all square. Then I made a bogey, went one down. Then he made a birdie, and I ended up losing. And you know, I was letting these opportunities slip. And the more I did that, the more the pressure built on me, and the more it became so much more difficult in my own head.
Right.
And I think that's where Rory's at. You know, and it's like bursting the dam. And I really do feel if he gets one major championship, there's 2 or 3 going to come quite quickly afterwards. And you know, all players, all athletes thrive on confidence, and I think he doesn't have the same confidence in major championships because he doesn't have the validation of having won recently.
Right. Have you seen anything in the last? Well, you mentioned obviously New Orleans and playing with Shane. I mean, last week was we walked with Shane yesterday, and Shane said, "Doesn't matter had Scotty Scheffler been there last week, there was nobody beating Rory." Have you seen anything now that might encourage you to feel a bit more hopeful this week?
No, I'm hopeful so many times about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
it's absolutely pissing rain here at the moment, right?
Sure.
The golf course is going to be soft.
Sure.
He's won around here before. He's coming in. Last week he was top 10 in every major statistics: putting, chipping, driving, approach play. I mean, he dominated everything. So he's absolutely playing great. He's full of confidence. On a golf course that he's won before, on a golf course that's going to be very wet this week. Yeah. So all the cards are lined up. You know, can he handle the expectation in his own head? More so than all of us, everybody else who's cheering him. It's in his own head, because that pressure is quite intense at the moment. He understands the magnitude of not having won a major for 10 years, and that mounts. And that's what he's trying to deal with at the moment. But there's so many ways of winning a tournament, Paul. You don't have to just go in the lead and take all the pressure and let everybody come at you. And you know, you can come in the back door. You know, you can shoot a score 3 groups from the end, run through it at 65 the last day. There's so many ways of doing it. It's like a soccer player who hasn't scored a goal for 10 matches, and all of a sudden one goes in off his arse, and all of a sudden then he starts scoring again. I really do think that that's what we could see with Rory is that, you know, if he got over that confidence hurdle in majors, he doesn't have this confidence, lack of confidence when it comes. Look at him last week. Once he got the lead, point the elbows out. Here I come. And if you could have that attitude when he got in the lead here this week, bam, okay guys, Scotty Scheffler, I don't care, I'm going there.
Paul, it's been great talking to you. We'll take it whatever way Rory can do it this week, off the arse, the pointy elbows. Thanks very much, Paul.
Welcome, Paul. Thank you.